Alright, Playboys, we back. And we got a trailer tonight for Fire Emblem Heroes. So let's go ahead and run this bad boy and see what's popping here. Oh, actually, hold on. Before we continue, let me make sure we have 1080p selected. Alright, so a new mythic hero joins the battle. Alright, who's it gonna be? Oh, is that, Sombron? Fell Dragon King. Yeah, I believe that's Sombron, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, so very interesting artwork there. Sure. So a colorless dragon armor type. He's going to be an anime hero that grants the speed blessing. All right, sure. I'm very used to seeing Sombron in his dragon snake cobra form, more so than in his human form. So it's throwing me off a little bit. So we have here Fell Surge, 16 might, 1 range, -1 special trigger, distant counter, and then adaptive damage against ranged opponents. Grants attack, defense, and res up 16 to unit. Neutralize foes' bonuses. Unit deals plus 25 damage, excluding on AoEs. Reduce damage from foes' attacks by 15, excluding AoEs, and reduce damage from foes' special by another 15. And unit makes a guaranteed follow-up during combat. And then unit has access to the following style, which is Howling Beam style. A very bare bones, minimalistic weapon. Outside of the style, who knows what the style does? We're going to find out in just a sec. Armored Ice Cap, and then attack, defense, and res slam. So we have a new A skill here, Slam type. If the foe initiates combat or foe's HP is over 75% at the start of combat, grants attack, defense, and res up 10 to unit, and reduce damage from foe's first attack by 7, first attack and brave attack. And then also, if unit's defense is better than the foe's defense plus 5, then you get Hardy Bearing. Okay, that is a massive A skill for armor types, man. That's really good. Actually, judging by the icon, this could be dragon only, because it looks like there's a dragon tail coiling up there in the actual icon. So possibly Armored Dragon A skill only, or just Dragon only A skill. We'll take a look at the restrictions in just a sec. Alright, then he's got Scowling Fighter, and then he has Fell Barrier. So unit savior effects will not trigger. Oh, that's interesting. He can't use save? What? That's odd. At the start of player phase or enemy phase, grants Dark Emblem to allies on the map for 1 turn, and grants Imbue and reduce damage from AoEs by 80% to unit and allies in 2 spaces for 1 turn. Neutralizes Dark Emblem granted to unit. So he's giving this status effect and then he takes it off of himself. What is the purpose of that? Grants bonus to units attack, defense, and res equal to the number of allies on the map with Dark Emblem active times 2 plus 5 with a max of 11. Unit deals plus 7 damage, excluding on AoEs. Reduce damage from foes' attacks by 7, excluding on AoEs. And grants special cooldown count -2 to unit before the foe's first attack during combat. If there is an ally on the map with Dark Emblem active, and if none of the units on player team have been defeated on the current turn, player phase and enemy phase counted separately. Calculates damage from foes' attacks at 50%. Oh. So he just cuts damage in half right there. Very interesting. This calculation stacks with other effects that calculate damage at X%, such as Potent Follow. And any reduced damage by X% effects that can be triggered a limited number of times by units equipped special. Can be triggered multiple times without limitation during combat. Includes effects such as the once per combat from Armored Flow and twice per combat from Armored Ice Cap. Does not include damage reductions for the first attack. Huh. That's interesting. So he cuts your damage in half, and then he's able to use true DR effects from specials an unlimited number of times, basically. And then Dark Emblem grants all stats of 5 during combat. So it doesn't do anything different. So why does he neutralize it on himself? So he gives allies Dark Emblem, but not himself. What is this guy? Dark Plagueis the Wise? Yeah, I mean, that's some more familiar look for Sombron for me. The big Cobra Dragon. All right, so they had him up against the Brave Male Byleth for some reason. All right, so his style here, Howling Beam style. Unit can attack foes within 5 spaces of unit, and 3 rows or 3 columns centered on unit, regardless of unit's range. All right, that's pretty good. Damage dealt by unit's attacks and damage from foes' attacks during that combat are reduced to 0, and foes' savior effects will not trigger. Okay, so he has the Elise no damage on style effect. After combat, deals 20 damage to the foe and foes in 2 spaces of that foe, and inflicts deep wounds on those foes. Applies Divine Vein Haze on foe's space and each space within 2 spaces of that foe for 1 turn. Unit suffers a counterattack if any of the following conditions are met. Foe is armored, foe can counterattack regardless of range, or foe's range is the same as the distance between unit and foe. And unit cannot move or attack structures after combat movement effects do not occur. Unit's AoE specials cannot be triggered, and remaining movement granted from Kanto is treated as 0. Skill effects range is treated as 1, and this style can only be used once per turn. It's just there for chip damage. I kind of like Elise's a lot better, because hers is 6 range. This is 5 spaces, but he doesn't necessarily move. It's just like foes within 5 spaces. It's kind of like giving him the Celica ring, but he doesn't have to warp. Huh. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this style. Doesn't seem like it's crazy enough to warrant his weapon being as minimalistic as it was. Grants Dark Emblem status to allies. Deploys his own Fel Barrier. What did that say? His style sends foes into despair? But does it really? I mean, he's doing no damage. You get the 20 chip damage afterwards, but... I mean, the splash 20 is pretty nice, that you're hitting not just the target, but then enemies in 2 spaces, which... that could be pretty good. Huh. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'm sleeping on the splash damage from his style a little bit, because, like, that could actually be pretty relevant. There's already a counter to that, though. I think Medius's On Guard would block that, though, right? Not that Medius is some big unit that people are running. But the On Guard effect, I think, would negate the splash damage from that guy's style. Oh, we have a legendary hero as well. Interesting. So, a legendary Lyon. What a weird combo here. A motley crew. We have Lyon and Sombron. So, this guy is going to be a Green Tome Infantry. He's an Earth legendary, and then he grants the attack blessing. Okay. Stats are right there. 40 HP, 74 attack, 18 speed, 50 defense, and then 61 res. Yeah, he's got to have some kind of visible bonus on his A skill, because there's no way he has 61 visible res here. Stark Naglfar, 14 might, 2 range, -1. Grants weapon triangle advantage against colorless and inflicts weapon triangle disadvantage on colorless. At the start of turn and after unit acts, if Kanto triggers, then after Kanto, inflicts attack, res, and attack shackle, res shackle, and discord on the closest foes and foes in 2 spaces. As combat begins, deals damage to foe equal to X% of the greater of units or foes' attack. If unit has weapon triangle advantage, or if unit's res is better than the foe's res, X is 40. Otherwise, X is 20. Activates only when unit can attack in combat. Effects that reduce damage during combat do not apply. Will not reduce foe's HP below 1. So he has the Needhogger true damage prior to combat effect there. And then also grants attack, defense, and res plus 16 to unit. Unit deals plus 25 damage and reduce damage from foes' attacks by 15. Not on their special, only on their attacks. Okay. Alright, then he has Comet again. We have here Slate Illusion. So grants attack, defense, and res up 10. So those are visible stats right there. When unit is in combat, foes' savior effects will not trigger. Okay, so that's taken straight out of the refine on Volk, where he can just attack and bypass saves. At start of player phase or enemy phase, grants Anathema and Creation Pulse to unit and allies in 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. Grants bonus to unit's attack equal to unit's maximum special cooldown count times 3 and reduce damage from foes' attacks by 7 during combat. If unit initiates combat, after combat inflicts after start of turn skills trigger, action ends immediately. For foes who have not yet taken an action in summoner duels, instead of inflicting this effect, ends their action immediately. Gravity and Share Spoils Plus on foes with the highest speed within 3 spaces of target foe through the next actions. Huh. Okay, so he's kind of reminding me of the Duo Lyon a little bit here with the action ending, but he's an infantry tome. His range isn't going to be the craziest. You're going to want to have some, like, insane movement abilities on him, like the momentum, get momentum on him so he can move 5 spaces and then, or move 4 spaces and then attack from 2. So he can attack something, bypass save, and then when he hits them, sets up Share Spoils and Gravity. Alright, then he has Attack and Res Unrest. So enables Canto 1 for foes on the map whose res is less than unit's res at the start of combat. Inflicts attack and res -X with a max of 7 during combat, and those foes can't recover HP during or after combat. When an effect such as Feud is triggered for allies excluding unit, that effect will also neutralize this skill's cannot recover HP after combat effect on their foes. Alright, that's a buzzkill. So they allow Feud to neutralize that. Why? Would it have been broken to just stop them from healing altogether? Alright, and then X is equal to the number of types of bonus effects, excluding stat bonuses, and penalty effects, excluding stat penalties, active on the player team and enemy team. Wow. That's quite a lot there. Well, it's a max of 7. They were smart to put a cap on that, because this number would have easily exceeded like 20. Since it's counting bonuses and debuffs at the same time. Alright, and then also inflicts attack and res -4 on the foe, deals damage equal to 20% of unit's res, excluding on AoEs, and reduce damage from foes' attacks by 20% of res during combat. And then he has Pulse Up Ploy. The new passives seem pretty interesting there. Unrest, and then also Slam from Sombron. Right now, armored units don't really have the craziest access to ace skills. They're stuck pretty much running either Strat Flame or going for Diluvial Boost. So a new ace skill, Slam, hopefully it's not Dragon only. But I have a bad feeling it might be. So these armored units could actually get a good ace skill. Okay, so there they had him snipe Heimdallr. You know what would have been a cool thing to give him? Instead of bypassing save, why couldn't he bypass Foresight Snare? Like, he could just attack and then neutralize Foresight Snare. Wouldn't that be something? But you know that effect is coming soon. Maybe not on this guy, but it's gonna happen. They're not gonna allow Summoner Duels to just remain Foresight Snare meta forever. Alright, nice attack animation there from Lyon. Doesn't look anything like what Naglfar is supposed to look like, but looks like this is a holy version of Lyon. He's not a dark mage, he's a holy mage. Because he's got the light all over him. Was it really necessary for us to see this, by the way? Brave Ephraim versus Mythic Sothis. Everybody stand back for that combat. Alrighty, so this is going to be our banner. So over on green, we've got the new Lyon. We've got the Arcane Lysithea. And then who else is green? Emblem Edelgard. Okay. Pretty solid overall green pool there. Then on colorless, we've got Sombron. We have Legendary Elise, and then we have Mythic Tiki. Okay, Sombron obviously seems interesting. Tiki, maybe not so much. Elise is obviously still very good. I think green is a little better than colorless overall. Okay, and then on red, we have the Emblemerica, we have the Ilian Mia, and then we have the Aided Lute. And then finally on blue, we've got the Tea Time Saline, we've got the Harmonic Hector and Ephraim, and then we have the Emblem Byleth there. So, an interesting banner. There's a lot of new units on this banner, which is nice. Well, how new? I was going to say, like, Emblem Edelgard and Byleth are new, but they're not really new. They're a couple of months old by this point. But as far as Emblem heroes go, these are the two most recent, right? Besides Lucina. So, it is nice to see them back here. And then, of course, Hector is there, which is good. So, yeah, the banner doesn't seem terrible. I don't really know if this is a must-pull or anything, though. I don't know if I'm particularly impressed by either of these guys. They seem like they'll be okay, but this guy in particular, you're going to want to have momentum support so he can reach and then end actions when he attacks. Sombron is a weird armor. He can't save, by the way. He's unable to trigger save. He negates his own status effect that he would give himself, which is the Dark Emblem effect. And then his style is really just there for splash damage. So I actually have no idea what my thoughts are on Sombron at the moment. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at these inheritance restrictions for the new passives, and then we'll get out of here. My god, this video is 17 minutes for a legendary Mythic Emblem banner. What is the world coming to when even the legendary Mythic Emblem banners are making us read this much for the trailer? Okay, so Attack and Res Unrest is for infantry only. And then it's looking like ranged units only. So tomes, bows, daggers, staffs, all those guys are going to be able to get it. And then for Attack, Defense, and Res Slam, no movement restrictions at all. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I thought this was going to be armor only. And then it does, in fact, look like it's dragon only, which is a big RIP. But having the built-in Hardy Bearing is pretty hardcore with that. Like, that's a really good ace skill for your tank units. Unfortunate that the other armors aren't going to be able to get it, but all dragons, not just armors, are going to be able to use this, so definitely going to be a big help. They don't have to stick with Diluvial Boost anymore. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of Sombron and Lyon? A very motley duo there. Not really sure what either of these guys have in common, especially since it's Holy Lyon. It's not like Fallen Dark Lyon. Maybe the Demon King and Sombron would have been shaking hands, but that is not the case going on here. So this is your boy Tacho signing out, and I will catch y'all again tomorrow when we get the data mines.